Well, greetings, everyone. Welcome to week number 59 of the weekly financial roundtable. Remember, money isn't the most important thing in life, but it's reasonably close to oxygen on the gotta have it scale. And we are going to talk about another currency today than money. So anyway, I'm your host, Tom Kuhn from Qnity. We're here to help you not only earn more money, but do what you love and have a great quality of life. Help you take what's confusing, complicated, overwhelming, and create a clear path to financial prosperity for you, your team, and your other stakeholders. New rules, simple, visual, and actionable. Last week, we had great guests, Jen and Matt Martinelli. And this week, we're going to believe something wonderful is about to happen because our guest this week will be Sharah Madrone. We'll get to her in a moment. She's from Eugene, Oregon. And this is a topic that we should have talked about a long time ago, all right? And it relates to time. Remember, you have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, and Albert Einstein, and the rest of us. And what do you do with that precious currency? So don't say you don't have enough time. So currency, we call it currency number 2 because it's part of something that we call managing your ATM, attention, time, and money. And so we hope that you get some great ideas today, some light bulb moments using your 9 grid. Speaking of a 9 grid, Sharah actually used a 9 grid to prepare. You could see clarity, closure, and confidence in the top row using a 9 grid. So hopefully we'll get some light bulb moments. Back to, we actually have recently discussed the 3 C's. Even though that's not the topic today, Sharah did use that format for her share with you, which is really cool. Also, the theme of this is 8 weeks off, which ironically ties very directly to 8 seasons, our system of execution. And all along, we've really seen 8 seasons as a way to plan your personal time too, your free days. So to prosper, manage your ATM, which we'll get to share in just a moment. A few quick information pieces for you. 2 to 10 is less than 2 weeks away. Information, we have a full house, a safe full house, but a full house. We will have information going out over the upcoming days, including later today, an updated version of the agenda and some other basic information. We're super thrilled to now be offering our money course, Money by Qnity, and this is for students in a partnership with Pivot Point, something that's been sorely needed in the marketplace and in the professional beauty industry. A lot of myths and traps out there, and some of what we're trying to do is get your money stories to help inspire the next generation of professionals. Past recordings of these sessions are in the Plan for Profits portal and on YouTube. And we also have another roundtable, and Sharah has agreed to join us and still somehow get payroll done today. So Sharah, which is awesome. So Sharah will be a new member of our Brain Trust, which is an amazing group of people. This is probably about a third of them. And so we're going to be talking about the currency of time. And, you know, I'm going to give you some of my own perspective on this. So when I started my entrepreneurial career, one of the first things I did is I enrolled in a program that was for entrepreneurs called the Strategic Coach. This is like back in the 90s. And one of the things that really intrigued me about this entrepreneurial development program was that it stressed the importance of taking free days. And it classified your type, it was a way to look at structuring your time. Free days, focus days, and buffer days. And a focus day is when you're completely focused on your number one money-making activity, your unique ability. A buffer day is all about setup, follow-up appointments, research, etc. But then there's something called a free day. And in this program, they said actually schedule your free days first, because what free days do is they allow you to rejuvenate, to create, and to make the space to be even better. But so many of us, present company included, are so wired on what they're doing. Many of you, like me, love what we do, that we forget to take free days. I remember when I started Qnity, I had this goal of taking 8 weeks off per year. And I've been so enthralled with everything that I do, I've never actually gotten around to it. I've certainly taken my share of time off. But then I see Sharah out in Denver, and I'm talking to her, and she says she's taken 8 weeks off a year. And I thought, damn, I want to learn how to take 8 weeks off a year. And with all this discussion about scheduling and members of your team and their precious time off and making sure that the schedule matches their lifestyle, what about you? You know, what are you doing to manage your schedule? Because there's certainly going to be a very clear link between financial success and also peace of mind. So there's pieces of our methodology that are built into this. To prosper, manage your ATM, your attention, time, and money. And we're going to talk about your attention and time today, money being the byproduct. I've already shared this quote. And so measuring not just your money in and your money out and all the money related things, but also measuring your time and your days off, which again, works really well with 8 seasons. And so literally a perfectionist in the world of 8 seasons would figure out if they're taking a day off, a week off, whatever, in every season or every other season. Every other season would be 4 weeks off a year. And we actually have multiple versions of our 8 seasons calendar that lends very well to this. Sharah, I'll let you talk about the 3 C's. I'll let you talk about your 9 grid. And without any further ado, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Tom, thank you so much for this invite. I'm so excited. I want to start by just saying I'm so thankful and appreciative for these roundtables. They honestly, like through the crisis, were a lifeline for me and have continued to be such a source of information, empowerment, and just connection in this, especially right now in this crazy time. So thanks for making these happen.
Of course, my pleasure. It's great to have you as a participant and then pull you out of the virtual world or out of the background and right up front and center. So let me talk a little bit. Let me just get a few of the pieces out for the group here. So you've been in business 18 years. You're the sole owner. You previously were a licensed massage therapist. So the spa side of the business is where it's probably closest to your heart. You have 2 locations. You will be joining us at 2 to 10 this year for the first time. We're glad you'll be joining us. You'll also do a more extended version of today's share while at 2 to 10, because I think it's so important. So yeah, about 50 team members, about 3 million in sales, and a almost Qnity coach. You're actually becoming a Qnity coach, and we're thrilled with that. So pretty soon you'll be a member of our coaching team. So wonderful. All right, 8 weeks off. What the heck? How did you pull that out? I mean, all right, so I'm going to jump right into the numbers piece. Is your profitability? I mean, am I talking to someone that has weak profitability, or did you say 8 to 11% profits?
Yeah, right now we're actually probably tilting closer to the 11% side. Actually, COVID's taught me some great lessons, so we're in a pretty good place. And I'm sure, like a lot of you, it's been a learning process. I kind of wanted to start with that of like, I don't have some magic. I'm not some superpower human or some secret magical, genius. I am, and like a lot of you, have learned through error, and so I've gone through different phases, and financially, I've actually made this work quite well. But yeah, in my profit in the past, I've been as low as maybe 6 or 7%. But I usually sit pretty strong with our profitability. So my income and my security doesn't, isn't impacted or isn't negatively impacted by this freedom or this time off.
So let's start with getting closure. What did you need to get closure on as you emerged into this time model that you follow?
Yeah, so prepping to kind of talk and share, and I can be a little bit of an overtalker. I wanted to get really concise. So I use the 3 C's structure to kind of help me do that. So starting with closure, which is kind of like what happened? Yeah, what happened and how did it make you feel here? So closure was, I've been in business, like you said, for about over 18 years, and just overworking, right? Like 60-hour work weeks, working all the time. I don't even know how I even consider a day off. You guys know, even on your days off, you're partially working, just struggling with my quality of life, struggling with my passion. I love what I do. Like, I love it so much. It's just everything to me. It's my heart. I feel so connected to it. It fills me, but just kind of starting to feel like, God, do I want to do this? Like having those days where I'm like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore, just kind of losing my passion. And then also just kind of having, I don't know, feeling like I'm falling in the river and managing rapids and lacking clarity, like what's happening, just kind of just that feeling of overworked and exhausted, and always just feeling guilty. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I felt guilty when I have 2 kids. So I felt guilty when I was at home with my kids for not being at work. And I felt guilty when I was at work for not being with my home with my kids. Anxious and overwhelmed, just kind of just feeling basically really depleted and really tired from just too much work.
How long ago was this? I mean, what?
I'd say really it was the first 8 to 10 years, 7 to 10 years of the company is where I really felt it. Probably at year 7 is really when it started to hit me. And I was like, this is my livelihood. I can't be burned. I need to this is like my longevity. I got to do this for the long haul. So I have been putting in this practice of 8 weeks off. I have actually had years where there's been more. I have been putting this into practice for about 10 years.
Wow. Okay. So now I'm gonna throw something in, and I mentioned this to you when we spoke that just yesterday I was talking to a burned out salon spa owner on the East Coast, and she was a client of ours, and she wanted to talk about her transition plan. And she said, "I love to work, and I don't want to retire, but I'm getting burned out. I'm getting burned out in the human capital part of the business, so I want to sell." And in talking to her more and more, she said something that really stuck with me. She said, Tom, I just want a week off. And that is the second conversation I've had in the last 3 weeks of someone that reached the conclusion that they wanted to sell their business because they didn't have any time off. So you're giving all of us hope here. And so let's go to the clarity piece here.
Yeah.
So now take us through what's going on here.
Yeah. So in clarity, I asked myself, what did I want to have happen when I was in this situation? What is it that I wanted to have happen? And then how would it make me feel if that had happened? So what I wanted to do and what I set forth as a goal is to work no more than 40 hours a week, less than 40 hours a week. And to work 4 days a week. I wanted a 3-day off, and that's my standard and has been for the last 10 years. Of course, sometimes that ebbs and flows with things that are going on. But for the most part, I work 4 days and I work 40 hours or less. And then I really needed and wanted to take that time off, and not 1 or 2 weeks a year. I was like, that to me was still a little bit feeling of a drowning, but was barely keeping me alive. Honestly, it was just barely keeping me alive, taking that 1 to 2 weeks. I was like, I need substantial time for the amount of responsibility I carry. So I wanted 8 weeks off a year. And then I also just really wanted to be in love with my work. Like I wanted to continue to feel inspired and passionate about what I did. In order to do that, or thinking about how that would make me feel if I could accomplish that, oh my gosh, well, one, inspired, like feeling more energetic, feeling replenished, feeling whole, right? Like home and work and just self time, like feeling like a more whole person, feeling balanced, and ultimately just feeling happier. Like that's what I felt like that's what I would feel if I could achieve those things.
So, all right. So now tell me then, so you are taking an additional 8 weeks off per year, in addition to the schedule that you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's over and above. So you're not saying that your 8 weeks is that 5th day a week. And by the way, I'm going to issue a new reward for you. I'm going to make up a new reward. All right. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you something here. All right. You remember I talked about earning great money, doing what you love, and having a quality of life. I'm giving you the earn more money, do what you love, quality of life, because that's, because you just talked not just about the time off, but you also talked about loving what you do and having that juice, right? So anyway, I don't know how to give you an award, but anyway, I would if I could. So, all right. So you have this schedule that works with you, 4 days a week. You set a ceiling of 40 hours, and then give me an example of a week you take off. I mean, are you disconnected from the business? What do you do?
Okay, so I like, mostly I like to have more than a week. I like extended time. Sometimes for me, I'm so intense and there's so much going on that when I'm on vacation, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'll be on vacation and it takes me to the 5th day to feel like I'm actually relaxed. So I take my 8 weeks in 2-week chunks. So I do that basically per quarter. Sometimes I don't keep it always that structured, but it's almost always 10 to 14 days chunks at a time. And so, oh my gosh, the things that I have been able to do when I decided to make this happen. So it takes planning and preparation and saving, but traveling Europe with my best friend. I took my mom on a 15-day rafting trip down the Grand Canyon, which is her like dream place. And I got to do that with her actually just 2 years ago. Wonderful like trip. My family and I go to Hawaii every single year. My children and my husband and I just taking that time paddleboarding. And I'm a camper. I love being outdoors. So I do lots of really kind of deep dives into camping and being out in the woods, traveling everywhere, Costa Rica, and I travel all over the place. So most of the time I'm traveling. Sometimes I'm just doing something really meaningful like the rafting trip, but I make sure that those trips that I plan, and I'm telling you, I'm planned out till 2023. I'm doing New Zealand for 3 weeks in 2023. We're doing that van trip where you van around the island. So I plan them out really far in advance, and I'm fueled by just getting excited to go on the trip that's coming up next. So, and sometimes I don't go anywhere. Sometimes I go to the beach or stay home for a week. So lots of good stuff.
I have a very important question for you. Will you be my coach? I love this. You got 2023 planned out too? Wow. All right. So now let me probe a little bit here. So you've got this 2-week period off, and how often are you checking in?
Okay, yeah. So I want to talk about, can I skip us to the confidence part? Because that's
Please
where
do.
the details of this are, where I'm sure people are going like, I don't understand, or what are some of the ways that happens?
I'm going on mute.
So confidence is the last part, right, of the 3 C's. And in confidence, we're asking ourselves, what would you have to do to make this happen? And we're asking ourselves, who do you have to be in order to make this happen, right? So that's kind of how I thought about it and putting this together. So what did I have to do? What do I have to do in order to make this happen? So of course, first and foremost, I have to delegate. I have to have people and leadership on my team that is taking on the vast majority of the day-to-day operations. Part of my passion is I want to be working on the business, not in the business. I want to be focusing on being an owner and not just an operator. So delegating out all that stuff that is the busyness. Sometimes I use the visual I describe. I want to be, if you imagine we're in Oregon and with beautiful rivers, if you're on, as the leader, I want to be out on the banks of the river, kind of guiding the raft, like looking at what's coming, what rapids to avoid, making sure we're not approaching a waterfall. I don't want to be in the river dealing with the rapid that's right in front of my face. So that's kind of my idea of like, I want to be, and in order to do that, I had to delegate out some of those day-to-day operations to team members. And that means I have a really wonderful leadership team as far as just like location managers. And these are not like, you can have a guest, I'm sure you guys do, it's guest relations team member that's passionate about marketing, and they're my marketing director. And I have one that's really passionate about inventory, and they manage my inventory. And in order to do that, because you guys know these positions change, right? Like, you know, you have a train, you have this person that you put the time and energy to, and then they make a change and you have to start all over again. And I didn't want to lose my 8 weeks and lose my freedom. So I had to work really hard on systems, having things like the day-to-day operations of systems, onboarding, training. I had to have them really structured in systems so that a new person coming in kind of could easily step in and follow those same kind of protocols. It also helped me be able to have checks and balances and be aware of what's happening. The piece that I think is one of the most important pieces of me I want to share is that this did not happen overnight. I did not like decide one day all of this and just like, okay, next day I was there. This was this was a process of years, really, from the time this really happened to me, like 7 years in. This was a process, and still is a process of years of taking small steps, right? One of the Qnity success principles, taking this in small steps and doing one thing at a time, and learning from it. So I didn't just immediately have beautiful systems. There were things that went awry or things that were a challenge. So giving yourself just, this is my intention, which I think is the most important, and then taking those small steps to put those things in place. So delegation, trusting people, having those leaders is essential. This won't function unless you're willing to relinquish some of that control and delegate out some of those day-to-day operations, which I feel like for me, I got more to give than managing inventory. And I'm lucky enough in the size of my business that I have enough financial, stability to be able to outsource or to pay for somebody else to do those things. You also have to be, for me, I had to be transparent with my team. I couldn't just be like, people couldn't just be looking around being like, she's this gone, like what's happening? I had to be transparent of why and how I was doing this and how we could make sure they still felt supported. So like when you asked, how often do I check in? I mean, on the Grand Canyon, you don't check in, there's no phones, there's no nothing. So when I'm on vacation, I don't check in very much. And again, a little bit of a process. In the early days, I probably would check in a few times on a trip like that, maybe, every 2 or 3 days. Now on a trip, on a 10 or 14-day trip, I might check in 3 times with my team. So not too much.
All right. So I want to ask you a quick question, and I know you've got more to share here, which I'm excited about. So this is actually for the group here. So if we could get some activity in the chat here, and I'm going to ask you a question here. How many of you would trade more time for less money? All right. How many of you would make that trade? Having more time, having more freedom, this disconnected freedom, and be willing to accept less money. I'm curious to see what's in the chat. All right, so that's yes, that's me, that's yes, that's me. Okay, so let's continue down the confidence route here a little bit, okay?
Yeah, because the other part that I think, at least for me, was as important as the what am I going to have to do to make this happen, as important to that, and what I find when I'm out in the world talking with leaders and owners, is this part of who do I have to be to make this happen. And that was honestly the biggest part, which was first and foremost giving myself permission, telling that it's okay, I'm still an engaged, passionate, hardworking owner, leader, person, but that feeling of like, I'm not doing enough, or I'm going to, I don't know, like that emotional side was hugely important, giving myself permission. And I do this with my team. You need to give yourself permission that you deserve that time, that it's not something that takes away from the business or who you are. It actually adds to the business of who you are. So that part of who you have to be was really important to me. Trusting my people. I had to be somebody who was willing to trust. And I had to feel like I had to be vulnerable. I had to be like, what if things don't go exactly as I want? Or what if somebody makes a decision? Like those are like my fears around it. What if somebody does something I don't want? Or maybe just those kind of concerns. And I had to be vulnerable and be like, this is so important to me. I'm willing to accept those risks or those concerns. So that's a really important piece for confidence for me, is just for us as owners to give ourselves permission and to tell ourselves that that we deserve it and that we're okay to allow ourselves to have time off.
So what are some of the bumps that were along the road? I'm sure there were some.
Yeah, for sure. There definitely have been some bumps or like challenges that have, it's, like everything we do, it's not all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. So bumps have been like in the beginning when I started to do this, especially with my senior team members that started with me when we were a small team of, maybe 15 versus the team members that have been with us as 50 and 60, some of the bumps were my senior team members just feeling a little bit more like, where are you? Or like, they had become dependent on me personally as their touchstone. And I loved that. I actually because I'm such a connector, that was actually something that I really loved. But I realized that I couldn't be their day-to-day touchstone and also have this freedom. I had to slowly but surely, just by stepping back little by little, sometimes that just means working at home, not working at site, and letting them begin to feel safe and secure with the leadership team that I put in place and the systems that we put in place. And then even now, 10 years later, what I do to kind of offset that is I have coffee dates with some of my legacy, 10-year or longer employees. Just every month, every other month, I just literally go and have coffee with them. So they still feel like they're getting me. My non-legacy team members, everybody that's been with me for less than 7-8 years, they're so used to this. They don't even question oh no, Sharah's not here. I've got a list of questions. When I come through, they just are like, hi, how are you? They don't see me as the person to answer all their day-to-day questions. So, but there was some pain and challenge of slowly stepping out for those seniors. I have had some crises happen while I was gone. One happened while I was in the canyon, and it was really scary and hurtful, upsetting that something really difficult in the business happened while I was gone. So I've had to kind of move through that. There has been an aspect of money in this. I have put a little bit more in my support budget or my management budget. I'm more at 9 or 10%. I'm actually getting back because I'm trying something new right now, but there have been years where I've been at 10 and 11% of my sales going to my support staff. Again, so I'll pay them a little bit more, that management, so that I can have that freedom. So that is something. And then change of managers is also a bump. Okay, here's this person that I've depended on, and now I've got to try it with a new person. Those have been some of the bumps.
Learned something called strategic byproducts. I also learned that from Dan Sullivan. And these are side benefits of something that's created. And sometimes the strategic byproducts are as good as the actual product. So were there surprises for you? I mean, some unexpected benefits that would come out of this that would be byproducts?
Yes. Oh, that's so right. I love that. That whole concept is awesome, because there has still been surprises. I've just been kind of experiencing that lately again with doing a lot more working from home, especially with COVID. And so the first one that I would say is surprises, rad stuff happens. My leadership team does amazing things. Sometimes I come back and because I have empowered them, because I have given them kind of that support to be able to make the choices they need to make, understanding kind of my guidance or what I would do, they do really cool things that I hadn't thought of. I just am one little brain, and it's not like a mega brain. So their leadership contribution has done things that have been so amazing in the business, from me letting go and letting them do their own thing. So that was been a cool surprise, not what I was thinking. Empowering leaders in general, working with these young men and women and empowering them and trusting them and working with them. It's really fed me a lot. I really love working with these excited, passionate people, and taking somebody who has maybe never been given. I have one of my current location managers has never been given a leadership role before, which shocks me because she's so incredible. And to watch this person who kind of just, has those insecurities and people haven't seen a lot in me, and just see her blossom and come into her own, that has been so rewarding. And then the last surprise, which has really been experiencing lately a lot, is it's created this huge space for not just the time off so that I'm replenishing me and having that for replenishment and self-care, but it's created this space because on the days I am here, I'm not on vacation. I'm not stuck in so much of that day to day. So I've got all this opportunity for growing and improving the business, doing things that I probably, haven't been able to get to for years because I was too busy.
I think you're providing hope to a lot of really, a lot of hardworking, and in certain cases, burned out professionals out there, and when I'm listening to you, leadership has got to be the X factor here. Without leadership, this thing all crumbles, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Leadership from me, leadership from the team, everybody.
So we'll get tactical again here for a moment. And, I'm reminded that 2 to 10 is a leadership conference. I think it's actually the only conference I'm aware of in the beauty industry that uses leadership in the title. And leadership is really on my mind right now, going into 2 to 10 and really seeing how we can give back and help people in the community become better leaders. But something we hear every year at 2 to 10 is, and not just 2 to 10 with our clients all the time, how do we find great leaders, and how do you keep them?
Yeah, obviously that's a huge piece, like in general, right?
Well, it seems like you figured it out.
Talent. I mean, it's gone pretty well. Sometimes I just feel like I've been really fortunate, but I kind of have that belief of like what you put out there, like as far as like what you put out there is what you often will return back to you. So one is I'm always looking and not like, okay, the resume comes with these leadership skills already, but like, just, are they excited? Are they connected? Are they engaged? And like, the more I have given, like, for example, I'm full spa and salon. So I have multiple domains in my business, right? And we used to have, the senior person would be what we call the domain leader or the domain advocate. And this person's the senior and they're the kind of the main leadership for the service provider team, stylist, salon leader, senior person. And then a few years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm constantly preaching about everyone's a leader. Leadership is important. We believe in developing leadership, but me sticking with the same person, the senior person, isn't actually like showing up with action in what I'm saying, right? And so we decided we're going to change it. Every 2 years, we're going to have a new domain advocate. And it doesn't have to be somebody who's senior. It's only somebody who's inspired and interested and in that role. And what's been so cool about that is that I have actually taken team members and put them in that role that I was like, this person has been such a struggle for me. I do not want to put them in this role. Like they've been a challenge for me, like in their behavior. But I'm like, you know what? If they're a team member, they're going to be with me. This is my opportunity to help instead of just being like, you're not exactly as I want you to be, so move on. So I put them in a leadership role and I can't believe how much they rose. Like so many people, like most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, the people that I've put in a position of leadership, meaning respect, support, tools, have risen and improved. So like challenges I had with that leader before, like aren't really existing anymore because they got to step into this leadership role, which made them feel better. And so trusting people, believing that they're going to rise, and then, leading by example, like they're just believing that people are leaders and giving them the space to fail, giving them the space to, I don't know, sometimes people just need somebody to believe in them.
Yeah. So leadership X factor here, always be looking. You've got domain advocates, which you rotate, trust, some really, really good ideas here and approach. Makes total sense. Let me map out your organizational structure. So you're the sole owner. Mm-hmm. And then do you have someone in a GM position that generally manages both locations?
So I used to. That's one of the things I changed after COVID, just because I had to, right? With the financial impact of COVID, we were 63 team members. We went down to 42 team members, like really hit. We lost $1 million in sales. We were closed for 2 months. You guys know, let's not talk about it. Anyways, like that forced me to make some changes. So previously I had more of a GM or a operations manager. And with this transition of having to kind of make some changes, that person actually made a transition themselves anyways. So it was an opportunity to be like, I'm going to try something different. So I tried now, instead of having that main person, I took 2 team members that were just clearly ready and excited to be in a leadership role, and brought them up into this. They're each a location manager, but they have a bunch of roles, inventory and HR and marketing. And I just brought them up into these roles from my guest relations team. And because so far it's been this whole year so far, so about 8 months, because of the structure that supports them, like they know what to do. And I connect with them weekly, every Wednesday for an hour and a half. I just am there for them, talking and answering questions and guiding direction of kind of what we're doing. They've stepped up. And so it's kind of an experiment still. So check back with me in another year or two, but I'm going to try this no kind of over operate. I'm going to try a no GM kind of practice and see how it goes, which I think would be great for a lot of those salons out there that are smaller.
Yeah. 2 locations is about, you can't go much beyond 2 locations without a GM, but with 2 locations, you possibly you can, with really strong, yeah. So you also revealed a little bit, I love the tactical things that are really like specific and like you mentioned Wednesdays. So do you have a standing meeting with each of your leaders on Wednesday? Is it with them individually or as a group?
Yeah, so every Wednesday we meet as a group for 90 minutes, and I have like a location manager for each of the stores, and then I also have a guest relations manager. And so the 4 of us meet every Wednesday, 4:30 to 6. Like that's our standing time. And then every other week, same Wednesday, I like to block my time. So Wednesday's my meeting day. I just fill it beginning to end with meetings. And so Wednesdays, I meet with them individually, especially this team, because they're newer. They're 8 months into their leadership. My previous manager, years and years, we didn't have to meet that frequently, but I meet one-on-one with them every other week just for kind of personal coaching and personal check-in.
Excellent. This is amazing. This is really good stuff. And people, who's digging this, by the way? Susan, thank you for your comment. And who's digging this? I want to dig a little deeper into your structure. Okay. So give us a glimpse at a normal week for you. You talked about Wednesday. So let's, kind of map out and then we'll wrap up your segment here.
Awesome. Yeah. So I typically work Monday through Thursday. Those are my work days. And I have flexibility. If I want to take a Monday off, I'll work a Friday, that kind of thing. But I work Monday through Thursdays. Monday's my catch-up day. So I'm going through all my emails and kind of setting my intention for the week. I pretty much don't schedule any meetings on Mondays for the most part. It's mostly, it's my day that I kind of begin and review my financials, catch up on my emails, kind of look at what's coming and anything I need to kind of get done admin wise on Mondays. Tuesday's a flex day. So if I've got a lot on my shoulders admin wise, like there's a bunch that I need to get to, I just do admin all day Tuesday. If I have a lighter load, then I just show up and do more connect time. Those are my coffee dates or just literally checking in and connecting with individual team members. Wednesdays are my meeting days. It's literally like packed from the beginning to the end with meetings, manager meetings and team members. And I have an education. I have one of my stylists as my education director and my recruitment director. Sometimes people think, I know I used to think like, I don't have the money to pay like 10 different positions, but I have a stylist who works 3 days a week who is incredibly engaging and loves young people. She's in her 50s and she just loves engaging with young people. And she's my recruitment director. She goes to the schools and does all the interviews and stuff. So it's not like some person I'm paying, it's not a big thing. It's just somebody who loves that role anyways. Thursdays is my education day. So I meet with my Qnity coaching team. I have my personal coaching meetings on Thursdays, and it's kind of my learning day. I try and do a little bit more of like big picture stuff that I'm doing. And then wrapping up anything else I need to is Thursday so that I can try and be relaxed and kind of let go of things for my Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, that's great. Con shared something confirming what we're doing. So Con, are you taking 8 weeks off a year? Are you one of the people that put it in the chat there, okay? If Con's doing that too, maybe we'll have you as a guest on there, because if someone really has mastery over this, it's really powerful because, it's, going back to how we started, Sharah, there's 3 currencies, attention, time, and money. And this is a money roundtable. And, but it just really struck me. So she started to take 3 days off a week. That's awesome. Con, how many 3 days off a week? How many weeks during the year are you like fully off? I'm curious because maybe she'll be another guest for selfish reasons. I'm asking. Sharah, I think it's she's taken 4 weeks. Oh, there's one other thing I want you to share. Okay, I just remembered something you shared with me. And by the way, Sharah and I just we're in Denver together. We had our trainer certification, and Sharah was out there to become certified not only as a Qnity coach but also Qnity educator. And we had a lot of great time together. You got home late last night, and here you are, early this morning. You're out in Oregon. It's early. You're looking fresh as a daisy in springtime and energetic as usual, which is awesome. And thank you for being our guest. But I got one more thing here for you. So you said you're starting to duplicate. Now we got to be a little bit careful because there's managers on here, okay? And there's other leaders. So are you trying to do the same thing with your leadership team from a time off standpoint? Share that.
Yeah, so I am actually trying to do a similar thing with actually all my team, my whole service providers. I'm very intense about my leadership having time off. My managers get 2 to 4 weeks off. I'm trying to push them all for 4. It's funny, again, people won't take time off even when they're empowered or paid to do so. So my leadership team, we're all working them towards 4 weeks off a year. And I'm trying to do the same for all of my team members, especially after COVID. We have just had person after person realize how valuable that time off is for them. So I'm right now trialing out a new system with some of my team members that I'd like to apply to all of them, where I put a structure in place where every single team member is taking 1 week off per quarter. It's scheduled the year before. They can offset it by adding a day, or like for some of it that isn't paid, they can do a payroll deduction. Like, we're looking at a way of how can we structure, and this is new, so I don't know, don't do this based on results because I don't know how it's going to work, but I just believe it's going to be important.
Are you thinking 4 weeks paid time off?
So it depends on where they are in the team. Some of our team members already get 2 weeks paid, and then some of our team members only get 1. So no, they would either take it as unpaid, or we were looking at these structures to kind of help. So most of it's unpaid. And like I said, what I'm finding is that it isn't just like us as owners, we actually get to make the decision of how much time we take off. It's our choice, but we don't give ourselves that option, or we don't feel like we have that option. My team members do the same. I give them a lot of flexibility for time off, but they don't take it. So for me, I'm like, I want to be, as a leader, I want to help encourage them, give them permission of like, no, this is truly valuable for your quality of life. I have this quote I want to share that's been helping me with this concept. I'm just so obsessed with it. It's from this new book I just read called Reboot. And he says, he has you ask this question of yourself, which is, what conditions in my life have I been complicit in creating that I don't want? So what conditions in my life have I been complicit in creating that I don't want? And so I'm trying to really, I love that question of, there's things that we kind of think we don't have a choice about, but there's probably things we're doing that's actually making them happen.
What a great way to close the conversation with you today. This is awesome. I think that everybody should have gotten takeaways from this. Light up the chat, will you, a little bit here? Let's give her a shout out for sharing her precious attention and time with us today. Sharah, I am very pleased to award you the $1 million light bulb, and it will be coming your way. And oh, by the way, everybody, for those members of the light bulb or of the Brain Trust, we have something coming your way, a little box. I'm not going to show you what it is, but we got the boxes in. All right. Sharah, we're going to get to spend a lot of time with you in your work with us as a future coach and educator. And then many are also going to be able to spend some time with you at 2 to 10, which is coming up. And so glad you spent time with us and getting up early this morning and being willing to double dip with me by joining the school roundtable. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks so much, you guys. It was a real treat. It's an honor.
So who do we have with us today? We have Con, I've already talked to you, and Amanda B, and Amanda H. Good morning, Amanda Hare. Hello, April and Ashley. Yes, Ashley, it's amazing. Candace G. Candace Gliato, she has a similar story a little bit. Yours has been longer and all that, but okay. Carrie Perkins. Good morning, Carrie. Hi, Christine and Connie and Dawn. And Hayden and Heather and Jackie, Jan, Jen, Joe, Julia, Karen. Joe and Karen, I was out in Colorado. I almost made it up to Fort Collins, but I ran out of time. Next time. Julia, Kate, Kelly, Kevin, Chris. Who else do we got here? Kip, hello, Kip, and Laura and Mark and Marcia and Megan and Melanie and Melissa and Nicole, Nina, Rebecca, Roman, Sam, Sandy, Sarah, Susan, and Tony. Wow, what a group today. Great group today. All right, let's see what else we got in the share here and what else I need to share with you that's news from the community. So also share your bee collar is so cute. Okay. You can type in the chat, share. There's a question from Hayden. You can check it out. Let's see here. Great. Very timely, Jackie. Yes, indeed. All right. So let me figure out what else I've got to share with you before we wrap up. Okay. I put myself where we needed to be here. Okay. What do we got? Okay.
Hey, can I just answer Hayden? Because I don't know how to connect directly. Hayden, she works behind the chair 3 days a week.
Perfect.
Education director. She does education director and recruitment director 3 days a week behind the chair. And then she does 2 days a week. She kind of does partial days with them. She does 2 days a week of that role.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So information packet going out with agenda later on today, and then more information for those of you join us at 2 to 10. Thank you for supporting Money by Qnity as we find money stories to help this next generation of professionals have the money skills to match their art and heart. I'm so damn excited about this program and getting to the students. Lots of myths and traps out there that need to be dealt with. Reminder, Qnity in action. Sharah actually, the reason we got involved with Sharah is she became a Qnity in action client, and she got to work with Carrie Perkins, and they developed a great relationship, and we've developed a great relationship also with Sharah. So anyway, everybody needs a coach. I need a coach. You need a coach. We're happy to be a coach, a member of our team. If you want to do a free coaching session, use this code. And then this was my quote for last week, but I still want to use it again, okay? Because it's such a good one, okay? Always believe something wonderful is about to happen. What a great perspective for life, isn't it, Sharah?
Yes.
All right. Thanks again. We will be on next week, and then we're taking a week off the week after that. So we're on one more week, this September, and then that first week of August, we are off. We've got a great guest next week. I don't know who it is yet, but we have a great guest, and we'll leave it at that. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us today, and you have a great, prosperous rest of the week. And Sharah, thanks again.